What is happening, you wonderful people? So November is almost over, December is almost here. And that means it's time to rank all the new movies that I saw in November from worst to best, all 6 of them. So let's talk about it.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Coming in at number 6 is Frankenstein. And I have to say, before I actually talk about Frankenstein, I really think that this month was a good month for movies. Not the best month of the year for movies, but a really good month for movies. There's a few, including Frankenstein, that I just didn't fully love, but I still enjoyed things about this film and other films I'm about to talk about in a bit. But with Frankenstein, I am kind of in the minority on it. I think it's good. I think there are some really great things about it. There are some things that I really, really loved as I was watching it, but also there are some things that I just was kind of meh about, and there are some things that I kind of would have changed if I were the one making this film. If I were Del Toro, there are some things that I definitely would have changed, but nonetheless, I really think that what makes this film work is definitely the performances, and especially from Oscar Isaac. And actually, I think I found out today that this film has been nominated for a few things, and I'm disappointed that it's not being nominated for Best Actor. I truly believe with all my heart that Oscar Isaac should win Best Actor for this film. While I just ended up not loving the film like most people, I just am kind of meh on the film as a whole, I still think Oscar Isaac should win Best Actor. I was 30 minutes into this film, 30 minutes in, and I was like, this dude's gonna win Best Actor. He's gonna win Best Actor. I really think the performances in here are great. Whether it's Oscar Isaac, whether it's Mia Goth, whether it's Christoph Waltz, whether it's just everybody in here was great. Everybody in here was great, and I love the overall. I think it's visually beautiful. I think it's a really well-directed film, a really good-looking film. It's pleasing to the eye, and I really think the visual aesthetic is great. I like the atmosphere in here as well, and I think Jacob Elordi as Frankenstein knocked it out of the park, and I'm disappointed he didn't get nominated either. I was hoping both of them or one or the other would get nominated, but it's not looking like that's going to happen. But I do think, however, this film, in my opinion, I didn't find the story, the overall narrative I didn't find it to be too complex. I didn't find the narrative to be that interesting. And I felt like the story was kind of paper thin, in my opinion. And I didn't find the characters to be very interesting. And it really, really does start to drag at times. It does. Like, towards the beginning, the first act, the pacing's fine. It's fine. But when it gets to that second act and when it gets to the third act mainly, that's where it starts to drag, and that's where it starts to slow down. And I just really didn't find myself interested in what was going on through the second to third act. The first act, I was really into it, kind of. but I just really didn't feel the overall depth. And I just really, again, the vibe is good. The vibe of the film's good, but it's not the type of vibe that I would have set up if I were making the movie, if that makes sense. I think y'all know what I'm trying to say. It's not the type of vibe that I would have put into my movie. Coming in at number 5 is Now You See Me, Now You Don't, Now You See Me 3. I'm someone who is new to this franchise. I haven't seen the first 2. I'm going to watch them eventually because they're making a 4th one in the next 2 years. And with this film, I didn't have any big expectations. I wasn't even planning on watching this film, but I ended up going to see it. And, honestly, I will say I'll never watch this film again. I don't need to watch it again. It's just a one and done. It's a one-time watch for me. But I have to say, I really did walk out liking it more than I thought I would, but at the same time, it's just fine. It's definitely just a mediocre film, but I'm surprised with the parts I did enjoy, if that makes sense. And I really think that there are some really cool moments in here, and it is a well-shot film. It is a really well-directed film, and it's just, there are some really good camera movements in here as well. And I thought the acting chemistry, whether it's between Jesse Eisenberg, Woody Harrelson, Dave Franco, Ariana Greenblatt, Justice Smith, everybody in here, all the performances are good, and I really like everybody in here together. And what I mean by that is the acting chemistry. The chemistry between all the characters and the acting chemistry, both of those are great. It's really great in here. And I think it does have a decent pace, surprisingly. Like, I was like, as someone who is new to this franchise, as someone who doesn't know anything barely about this franchise, I was walking in hoping I'd enjoy the film, because I want to walk in liking every film I see. I don't want to walk in and not like a film. I don't want to not like any film, you know, but I wasn't bored, surprisingly, and I thought I was going to be. Like, I thought I was going to be bored out of my skull, and I actually really wasn't, because all these actors are charismatic, and all of their chemistry together, it really makes for a somewhat good time. And there are some really cool moments, and I think for the most part there are some entertaining moments, so it kind of does keep you engaged for the most part. But at the same time, I don't ever need to watch it again. I don't ever need to watch it again. There are a lot of cliches and tropes thrown in the mix in here. The cliches and tropes that you've seen a million times in other movies. Y'all know what I'm talking about. You know the cliches and tropes. You have a ragtag group of people, a team. You have the villain going on a heist. There's a MacGuffin. You know how it goes. You've seen it a million times. Nothing interesting, nothing memorable. It is very run of the mill. It is, and it's just, you know how it's going to end. And the script and the dialogue, not very good. Your typical writing, your typical script, screenplay, dialogue, and it doesn't shy away from being familiar. But at the same time, while I just ended up being meh with it, there are some things that I did really enjoy about it. Coming in at number 4 is Zootopia 2. I actually just posted my review for this earlier today, so if you not like, comment, share on that, please go do so. But with Zootopia 2, you know, I'm someone who does like the first one. I really do like the first one, but I'm someone who, I haven't watched it in a long time. I don't even remember the last time I watched it, but I'm someone who likes the first Zootopia, but at the same time, I'm someone who doesn't love it like everyone else. But it is rewatchable. Like, if it's on, I'll definitely watch it. If anyone with me, if I'm hanging out with my friends or my family and we're trying to pick a movie to watch, if they want to watch it, I'm totally fine with watching it. I like it, but again, don't love it like everyone else. But I would watch it if it's on. But I really think with this one, because I just liked the first one, I didn't have any big expectations for this new one, especially with what Disney has been doing with their sequels. You know, Moana 2, really was looking forward to Moana 2. Was kind of disappointed with that one. Wish a few years back, I was looking forward to Wish, really let down by that one. And with this one, I just think Zootopia 2 is okay. I think it's fine. It's not bad, it's not great, it's just in the middle for me. And I really am happy. I'm happy that a majority, everybody is enjoying it. I'm really happy for y'all that y'all are enjoying it. But for me, I think the first one's better. I think the first one is miles better, in my opinion. And I really do think what I like about this one is that the emotional beats do hit mainly towards the end. And the reason they hit is because, you know, the chemistry and dynamic between Judy and Nick is really good. It is. And you feel for their relationship and you feel for them as characters. And, you know, they go through some things in the film. They go through some, you know, difficult moments trying to make their relationship better than it is, and now they're actually partners on the same team in the police force in the film, and you see what they go through. So the emotional beats really do hit. They do. And you know, it is actually really funny. I will say it is actually really funny. It's funnier than the first one, in my opinion. The first one I remember being funny, it is, but this one, and I wasn't like belly laughing, I wasn't laughing like my like to the point of tears, but there are some really funny moments in here. And I think the world building in here is really great because you get to see a new part of Zootopia, and it kind of felt like, you know, when you're playing a game and you have a map and you have a part of the world that you're in, but then you complete a checkpoint and then a new part of the map is open for you. And I really feel like that was kind of like, I like the world building in here. I thought that's what it kind of reminded me of. And it has a lot of heart. You know, I go back to the emotional beats and all that, and it does have a lot of heart. And I love the dynamic and chemistry between Judy and Nick. I do. And you know, the animation's gorgeous in here. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's very vibrant and colorful, and the stakes actually kind of feel high in here. But at the same time, I do think the OG is better. It is definitely better, and it's not very memorable, in my opinion. It's just not very memorable. The script is kind of weak, in my opinion, and it's just the story, I felt like, in my opinion, was very paper thin. It's just predictable. You know how it's going to end, and I just didn't find myself caring about anything going on. And it does what a lot of Disney sequels have been doing lately. It kind of has that same Disney sequel formula, or the Disney formula in general. You have our main characters, they're the protagonists. You have the antagonist or the antagonist, and there's a twist involved. It's kind of a MacGuffin in a way, and you just kind of know how that story's going to go. And it kind of felt rushed. Like, I feel like, I didn't think the pacing was bad, but right when it opens, they throw you right into it, and it just felt very rushed, and it felt like it didn't have much time to breathe. Coming in at number 3 is Wicked for Good. I'm someone who has never seen the musical, the Wicked musical, but I'm also someone who grew up watching The Wizard of Oz millions of times, so I kind of know more about Wizard of Oz than I do of Wicked. I'm not a musical fan. I like The Greatest Showman. I think The Greatest Showman is great, and I like both Wicked films. I think both are really phenomenal films. But with this one, you know, it does drag at times. It definitely does drag at times, and it felt like it was kind of a little rushed towards the end, and the overall narrative at times is a little wonky at times. It is, and the structure is kind of odd. It is kind of odd how they structure the overall narrative in this movie, how they structure the story. And while this movie's epic, it is very epic. It is an epic conclusion. It is a great conclusion. It is a great finale, in my opinion. However, I think the first one is more epic than this one. While this film is epic, it is. The first one is like way, way more epic than this one. But at the same time, this one is visually fantastic. It's visually fantastic, and I think the emotional beats really do hit. It's about friendship. It's about really dread, grief, and loss. It's about all those. It's about love. It's about family. It's about all those different themes. It's about all those, and it's just, I like the color grading in here. It has that, you know, golden-ish color grading that I absolutely love. And I like the cinematography in here. I think it's a well-shot film. I think the editing is great in here. And I really think that, you know, the film, you know, it does take its time. It does take its time. And it ties a lot of things in from The Wizard of Oz, which was my favorite thing about the film. My favorite thing about this film is how they tied in The Wizard of Oz, because this movie is legit a prequel. Like, when you're watching it, you're like, this is a prequel to The Wizard of Oz. Like, it's going on at the same time, and I really, really like how they did that. And it truly is epic. It has a good pace to it. The dialogue I thought was sharp, and you know, I love the broad scope and scale in here, and I like the visual aesthetic and the atmosphere. You know, they're both great, and I love the dynamic and chemistry between Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo in here, and I really think all the performances in here are great. And it's such a really beautiful, just well put together film, and I think all the performances in here are great, whether it's Jonathan Bailey, whether it's Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande. And the thing with me in the first film is I thought Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo both were great in that film, the first one, but I think Cynthia Erivo was the better actress in that film. In this one, they're both great. They're both great. I think Ariana Grande is way better in this film, in my opinion, than Cynthia Erivo. Coming in at number 2 is The Running Man. And with this film, I do think there are some pacing issues at times in this film. I think there are a few pacing issues. And, you know, sometimes it's slow, sometimes it starts to speed up, so it's kind of fast, kind of slow. So there are some pacing issues in here, but at the same time, it didn't take me out of the film. It didn't. And I think the story is simple. You know where it's going. You know how it's going to end. You've seen the story a million times. You kind of get the plot where it's going to go down plot point wise, right? But however, I think that Glenn Powell is one of my favorite actors, man. He's one of my favorite actors, and I really think he knocked it out of the park in here. I think Edgar Wright is such a really unique, nuanced director, but I think he really showed that in this film. And, you know, I thought Glenn Powell brought the charisma and the strength. I thought Coleman Domingo was great in here. I thought he brought the energy and just the chaos in here. Josh Brolin, another one of my favorite actors, such a great actor. He brought the, you know, the snark. He brought just the menacing aspect of his character into here. And I really think that I wasn't bored, and I was entertained, and the film keeps you guessing. It does, and it makes you think about the world that we're living in right now, because this movie deals with AI and technology and all that type of stuff, and corrupt governments and corrupt people mainly. And I think that the editing in here is really good. I think it's directed well. It has a great aesthetic too, and it has a great atmosphere. I think all the performances in here are great. Daniel Ezra's in here, Katie O'Brien, everybody's in here. Josh Brolin, Glenn Powell, Coleman Domingo, a lot of people are in here, and I really think everybody in here did such a good job. And it's one of those things where I never saw the original, and I've only seen one other film from Edgar Wright. I've seen Scott Pilgrim, which I really do enjoy, and Baby Driver. I haven't finished it yet. I'm going to finish it eventually, but I started it a while back, and that opening scene is one of the best opening scenes in cinematic history, in my opinion. So I like Edgar Wright as a director. I do. I think he's a really good director. And Glenn Powell, I like Glenn Powell. He's one of my favorite actors. And this film just really kept me engaged, and I was just into it. I absolutely loved it. Coming in at number 1, my favorite movie of the month of November, Predator: Badlands. And with this film, I really enjoyed it. I think that, I'll just touch on my negatives real quick. I think that maybe a little, at times, it's kind of goofy, but not throughout the entirety of it. But you kind of have Elle Fanning's character, who at first I kind of thought was obnoxious, but then as the movie progresses, as it goes on, you actually start to care about her character. You do, and she's kind of making the jokes, kind of trying to lighten the mood, but it didn't really take me out of the film, and it does drag at times, but even with that, didn't take me out of the film. I think the pace is really good for the most part, and I enjoyed the overall narrative, but I wasn't the biggest fan of how it was structured, right, and how it flowed. Kind of, I wasn't the biggest fan of, and it felt like it didn't know where it wanted to go at times. But you have to see this movie in Dolby and IMAX. You have to. This is a sci-fi fan's dream, and it'll make sci-fi fans cry tears of joy. It will. I was so entertained. I was like, I want to know what happens next. I'm so into this film, and the sound design in here is great. It swings for the fences. This is a very bold and risky Predator film, but this is a Predator film that knows what it wants to do, and Dan Trachtenberg really knocked it out of the park. He did. And this is the first Predator film. This is the first Predator film where we've had him as the protagonist, and it works. It does. And I think the visual aesthetic is great. It has a great atmosphere in here. I think the action's brutal and intense, and the pacing's good for the most part. I think the score is emotionally brilliant in here. It's super unique. It's beautifully shot. I think the performances are really good, and it's epic in scope and scale. The massive scope and scale in here is epic, and I love the adventure aspect of it, and it has a great world building too, and I really enjoyed this film. That'll wrap up this video. Thank y'all so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, like, comment, share in this video. We just hit 1K subs a while back. We're now at 1.2K. Next milestone is 2K, and 3K after that, and beyond that as well. If you're new as well, I do movie reviews, TV show reviews, trailer reactions, movie live streams, movie news, movie rankings, all that wonderful movie stuff under the movie umbrella. And let's talk about it in the comments down below. What's y'all's favorite movie of the month? What's y'all's least favorite movie of the month? Is it Predator: Badlands? Is it The Running Man? Let's talk about it down below. Keep talking movies, wonderful people. Happy Thanksgiving, and cheers.